Welcome back to Justice. A bombshell documentary about the death of Princess Diana has sparked outrage. Premiering at Cannes, Unlawful Killing sets out to prove that the death of the Princess of Wales may not have been an accident.
In 1993, she wrote a note saying her husband was trying to kill her, planning an accident in her car, brake failure. And then, 4 years later, that woman, Princess Diana, was killed in a car crash. But some think it was no accident. She was a kindergarten teacher, pulled into the spotlight when Prince Charles chose her to be his princess. But the fairy tale did not end happily ever after. Their marriage, tumultuous. In 1993, they divorced.
I will be reducing the extent of the public life I've led so far.
Once officially out of the House of Windsor, Diana began speaking out publicly against the royals, confirming Charles's affair with Camilla, admitting to depression, bulimia, and an affair of her own. Then, August 31st, 1997.
Diana, Princess of Wales, has died.
Diana's black Mercedes-Benz slams into the 13th pillar of a Paris tunnel, killing her boyfriend Dodi Al-Fayed and driver Henri Paul instantly. Bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones is the only survivor. Subsequent investigations by both French and British authorities concluded the same. The driver, Henri Paul, was drunk and driving too fast. Conspiracy theories sprang up immediately. Was it an accident or an assassination? Now a new documentary is asking that very question. Premiering in Cannes last night, Unlawful Killing alleges evidence of foul play and a cover-up by the British establishment. Some witnesses report a loud bang and a flash of light just before the accident. Why was no autopsy done? And the note Diana wrote 4 years before her death, saying her husband was trying to kill her, planning an accident in her car.
When the woman left a note saying, FYI, if I'm dead, here's how it's going to happen, and then it happens exactly like that, I think someone should pay attention.
The film itself is facing widespread criticism in the UK, not only for its allegations, but for using never-before-seen paparazzi photos of Diana at the crash scene.
We're joined by the author of The Murder of Princess Diana, Noel Botham, the former butler to Princess Diana, Paul Burrell, and Jeffrey Steinberg, senior editor of Executive Intelligence Review. He's investigated the death of Diana for years. Now, Noel, I'm going to start with you. You wrote a book, The Murder of the Princess. Why do you think she was murdered?
Well, to begin with, Judge, I didn't. When I started the book, I thought it was an accident. And it's the little things that made me believe that this was not a simple accident. The fact that, by some sheer coincidence, every single CCTV camera on that route, all the way from the Ritz Hotel to the Alma Tunnel, was not working that night. Why was it given to the criminal brigade to investigate and not the traffic police? Why were Mercedes experts who were offered by the company to examine the car refused any chance to look at the wreckage? Why did they wash down the road with detergent and open the road in just a few hours before proper forensic tests were done? And why did they put out the fact that this driver was drunk before they had the results of his blood test? Well, and that blood test, Judge, was impossible to be Henri Paul's, because what they didn't tell people at the time when they put the results out was that the blood also had 20.7% carbon monoxide in it. That only came out 6 months later, when a solicitor acting for his relatives got a hold of a copy of the report. Now, if you had that much carbon monoxide in your body, you'd be falling about, you'd be vomiting, and you would certainly be unable to drive a car.
Noel, where do you think the carbon monoxide came from?
Where do I think the...
You said there was a carbon monoxide in his blood. Where did that come from?
Well, according to the police, it came from the airbag. Until Mercedes said, of course, we don't put carbon monoxide in the airbag. Then they said it was heavy smoking. Well, that toxicologists say is impossible.
All right, Jeffrey, was it murder?
In my heart of hearts, I'm absolutely convinced it was, but the cover-up was so massive that we will probably never have the kind of evidence that you would take before a judge and a jury to prosecute.
But what do you think is the most significant evidence that leads you to think in your heart of heart that she was murdered?
It's the totality of the cover-up, and when you're carrying out a high-level political assassination, as this may have been, the most important thing is to have the cover-up in place.
All right. Paul, was Diana murdered?
No, she wasn't.
Why do you say that?
This was a tragic accident. The princess was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong man. I'm afraid we will have to accept the verdicts of the juries in France and in England, accept this once and for all, and move on, for goodness sakes.
But Paul,
because we can't keep investigating this. We've just witnessed a very happy incident in England. This only causes to upset everyone who loved the princess. We need to draw a line underneath this and move on.
Well, certainly, I mean, we did just celebrate a wedding, but don't you think it's disconcerting that a woman predicts exactly how she's going to die? I mean, isn't that cause for concern?
Well, I lived with the princess for a few years, and I knew her extremely well. She wrote that letter to me in which she expressed that she feared that she was going to be killed in an automobile accident. Yes, the princess felt she was being watched. She felt she was being monitored. I gave this evidence in the court of law in England. But, you know, she lived in a very fragile world, in a very peculiar world, which people don't quite understand. And maybe she was being watched, but I cannot believe for the life of me that anyone would want to kill the mother of the future King of England and kill such a beautiful person as Princess Diana.
Arrell and Jeffrey Steinberg. Now, Noel, I'm going to go to you. The documentary shows the photograph that was banned in the UK of Princess Diana dying. Was this the right thing to do?
No, I don't think it was, really. I think it certainly would sharpen the attention of anybody watching the documentary, but I'm not sure in my own mind that it's great taste. I would like to add, by the way, I listened to Mr. Beryl and the comments he had to make, but one must remember that Mr. Beryl boasted about lying to the inquest that actually found Diana was unlawfully killed.
Well, Paul, is that accurate?
No, you're wrong. Every question which I was asked in a court of law in England, I answered truthfully.
All right, well, let me move on. Jeffrey, I just want to ask you, should the photographs have been shown in the documentary?
I don't think so. I think it was a bit over the top, frankly, but I think those photographs represent important criminal evidence against the paparazzi because...
Well, how significant, what's the value of them to the investigation?
Well, it shows the fact, first of all, there were reports from passersby that the paparazzi were hoarding all over the car, grabbing photographs while Princess Diana was still alive. And, in fact, it was a violation of the French Good Samaritan law to be on the scene and interfere with an attempt to rescue somebody who was potentially savable at that point.
And Paul, I mean, isn't it significant that the paparazzi was there almost immediately at the time that, within seconds, within the time of her dying? Isn't that indicative of some kind of, you know, of what's going on in terms of the accident?
Well, I think the princess being with her, I saw the paparazzi follow her and hound her constantly, and it's no surprise to me that
so you don't
the
think
first
that's unusual? All right.
I don't know.
Okay, and Jeff, why wasn't there an autopsy done on the princess?
I think that the royal family intervened. The royal coroner interceded. They made all kinds of arguments. It fed all kinds of wild scandals.
That's crazy. No. Why wasn't there an autopsy done here?
There was supposed to have been an autopsy done in Paris, and a rudimentary was done, autopsy. And I'm told they used formaldehyde inside her after that crude autopsy. And when the body got to London, there was supposed to be a further autopsy. It never took place, apparently.
Well, you know, to me that's shocking. I mean, I can't believe that you've got the Princess of Wales who supposedly dies in an accident and there isn't a thorough autopsy that's done, or there's a preliminary and not a final. I mean, to me that just adds to the conspiracy theories, not that I necessarily buy into it. Paul, what do William and Harry make of all this?
I think it's very upsetting for everyone who loved the princess. to have to constantly go through this ordeal. My monitor is switched off here. I do not want to see that photograph of the princess dying. I do not want to see footage of her dying. I think it's in extremely bad taste. I think it's wrong, and it shouldn't happen.
Do you think they should have been destroyed, Paul?
Yes, I do. It's a matter of dignity, and everyone deserves dignity at that moment in their life as they pass